Hey everyone, Steven here, and today I'm reviewing the EKSA E900X Wireless Gaming Headset. Now, it's been a while since I reviewed a headset, but with all of my headset reviews, I do use the built-in microphone without any adjustments in post outside of adjusting gain potentially. So this is actually just the raw audio of this headset and what this will sound like. With that being said though, let's get into the specs first. The EKSA E900X features 50mm drivers with an impedance of 32 ohms, a sensitivity of 105 decibels plus or minus 3 decibels, and a frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz. This features two microphones, with the call microphone being unidirectional with a sensitivity of negative 38 decibels plus or minus 3 decibels, and the built-in microphone is omnidirectional with a sensitivity of negative 36 decibels plus or minus 3 decibels. The battery is 1500 milliamps with a working time of 23 hours with the lights off, and this can charge to full via the USB Type-C port in 2.5 hours. This has a Type-C dongle with a Type-A adapter if you need it, and this runs off of a 5.8 GHz frequency, or you can plug this in with a 3.5mm audio cable. Using the wireless dongle though, you will get the 5.8 GHz wireless connection, which means you will have a 15 millisecond low latency here, which is awesome. Inside of the box, you get the headset, Type-C dongle, USB adapter, 3.5mm audio cable, carrying bag, user manual, and quick guide card. Shifting over now to the physical features, starting on the left side, you have the volume scroll wheel, LED indicator light, mic mute button, multifunction button, which you long press to turn the headset on, the audio jack port, and pull-out microphone. On the right-hand side, you have the Type-C port for charging and LED charging indicator light. The ear cushions and headband are foam padded with a pleather material on top of them. The band has a decent amount of flex to it, with the height adjustment on it providing a good amount of adjustment as well. Most of the headset is made of plastic, but the height adjustment frame that attaches to the ear cushions is metal, as well as the metal mesh that is on the outside of the ear cushions with the LED light being underneath that. This allows this to shave off some weight, which this weighs roughly 333 grams from my scale, which is roughly about 0.73 to 0.75 pounds. So you're looking at 3/4 of a pound here. Last, we have the price and the warranty. For the price off of EKSA's website, this is $109, but on Amazon, this is $99. For the warranty, this has a 24-month, so a 2-year warranty on this, which is really cool to see. Most of the time you see a year, here you're getting 2 years. So now that I've covered the specs and the features, let's shift over now to the software. So this is actually the software, and this is pretty bare bones here. We have 3 tabs: mic ENC, stereo surround, and then the 7.1 surround sound. Here, mic ENC, it's been on this entire time up until this point. I'm going to turn it off now. And so with the ENC turned off, it does pick up a lot of noise. If it's turned on, I think it does a really good job of actually just filtering out a lot of background noise. But if you were to leave this off, I think it may be distracting if you're gaming or anything like that. Turn that back on. You could also use NVIDIA Broadcast if you do have an NVIDIA GPU, which will actually eliminate even more noise than the ENC here, so that it is another option to consider. But we have stereo sound, and if you can hear that, it probably picks up on it. It actually says something. It'll say music mode, and it'll say game mode as I change over to these different tabs. There is no way to turn that off because literally this is the software here. So we have pop, rock and roll, deep bass, jazz, classic, EKSA standard, and then customize. Customize is the only one that you should be able to actually adjust these. We'll create a new profile. There we go. And so you can come in here and you can adjust this audio to whatever you want it to be, right? And then save it. So I've usually left this on EKSA standard here, which just mimics the customize, which is kind of flat. You can go through any of these though, and they do change the sound profile a good amount, but just by default, it will be on EKSA standard. Now you can hear it says movie mode. That's what it is. It's not game mode. It's movie mode. Movie, FPS, MOBA, EKSA standard, customize. Same thing that you're going to be able to change here. There we go. It'll say it every time I change in the 7.1 surround sound, right? Nope, just for movie and FPS. That's it. The other ones, it doesn't say anything. So very unique with the outline here. I think there's a decent amount missing. This is, of course, software, so these are things that they could improve. But by default, there's just not a lot that they're offering here. So it depends on what you need. As far as I know, if I were to leave this in a particular mode, and then you then transfer it over to, let's say I'm on PC right now, obviously, but I go over to the Xbox, you're going to have to make adjustments via Xbox to this. If I take this and I bring it over to a Windows-based handheld, it's the same thing. As far as I know, it doesn't retain this. It kind of just goes back to the EKSA standard once you change this device from here to another one, and you don't have the software on that. As far as I know, and as far as my ear can pick up. So if it does retain it, it's not letting you know that it is retaining that, because there's no way to actually say, hey, I want to save this audio profile, and this is what I want you to always be in, essentially. So this is going to be the EKSA software. So now that I've covered the specs, features, and software, let's get into what I like about this headset, starting with the overall sound quality and connection, which are both really good. And ultimately, that's what's going to matter most when it comes to a headset. The only issue I've had is on consoles, well, more specifically the PlayStation 5, because that is where you can use this wirelessly compared to the Xbox, is that as I get up and walk away, if I'm not close to the receiver, if it's paused, if the game is paused, then it starts to break up a little bit. No other time it does that, other than if I pause a game. Very interesting. I don't know why that is the case. Maybe this picks up that it's paused, so it tries to reserve battery. I have no idea, but it starts to break up a little bit. But again, that's the only time that it actually does that, is on a console, well, specifically the PlayStation 5, as I pause the game and I walk away from the receiver. The 7.1 surround sound delivers really good overall experience, with the software allowing you to adjust the audio to your liking or use some of their presets. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the software again here in a minute, but the fact that you can adjust that, I do like that, and it sounds really good. Again, that's the most important thing here. You also have a good amount of connection options with this for the wireless mode. Everything basically outside of an Xbox. So for the Xbox Series X, you have to plug this in. I've had other headsets where that is the case. I believe that has something to do with something that is proprietary to the Xbox, and they most likely need to pay for like the codec or whatever it may be in order to use the headset with that wirelessly. Plugged in still sounds good, but you actually have to plug that in. Everything else, you can use the USB Type-C dongle if it has that. You also have the USB-A adapter if you need to use it. But using this on PC, I actually used it on my iPhone as well. So the new iPhone 15s and 16s, those have the Type-C input. So you could actually use this with that. And it actually still sounded really good on the iPhone. I don't know how often I would use a headset this big with the phone, but it still was a good overall experience. You can also use this with the PlayStation 5, like I mentioned, and then the Nintendo Switch. Now, when it comes to the PlayStation 5, in terms of the 7.1 surround sound, you can use essentially the software that the PlayStation 5 has for their 3D audio, which is the surround sound. When it came to the Nintendo Switch, it's basically just a Bluetooth headset, as that's how it recognizes it. So with that, it was basically stereo from what I could tell. On my phone, it tries to do the 7.1 surround sound depending on what you're actually utilizing. Next, I do like the ENC with this. It does a good job at removing the background noise that you may have in a room. And for anybody that's using this with chat, that's a good plus side, because if there's something going on, it may be distracting for the other players. I do like the microphone here as well, though. in terms of quality. With the ENC on, I think this is a really good quality microphone for a wireless headset. It's not going to best all the other like extremely high-end headsets that are out there, especially if they're wired. They just tend to have a better connection, but I think this sounds really good for a wireless headset. Typically with wireless headsets, you may get like a tinny sound to them. It sounds like you're talking into like a can, where it just, again, it sounds tinny. That's the best description of it. And here, that isn't the case. So you do have a good quality richness to the voice with this that you're picking up with the microphone. So for somebody that's using this for game chat, maybe for streaming, completely fine. Now, if you're going to make content with it, of course, I don't think this is going to be something you're going to want to utilize. Usually you want an external mic, just because that's going to have better quality and more features that are geared towards content creation than a wireless headset microphone. But again, with that being said, this is pretty good, especially when you are utilizing the ENC. If you're going to turn the ENC off, it does tend to pick up on more noise inside of the room. So I think for like Xbox, when you're plugging it in, if you're not getting any software on the console's end to actually help reduce or minimize background noise, that may be something where, depends on your level of gaming or how important that is to you, where you may not want this headset because it will have that background noise because you just don't get that ENC feature. It would have been nice if they had this kind of built in terms of like a button where you could push a button on this and then it would turn on the ENC. That would give more options to people that are going to use this on a console or different device. And last, I do like the overall aesthetics of the headset with the LED light on the side underneath the mesh. It definitely has a gamer look and vibe to it, but I do like the design here. I've used some previous EKSA headsets, which, looking back on them now, after it's been a couple years, I just don't like that design as much. This one looks just more modern and kind of with the overall look that the industry has shifted over towards. Again, the mesh on the side with the light underneath, it just gives like a really cool look to this. Comfort-wise, it's decent. It is something that I can wear for about an hour before either the ears are getting sweaty or the pressure on my head is something that I've definitely noticed. If you are prone, which I am, to not liking pressure on your head, so like something really tight like a hat or anything like that, and it maybe gives you a headache or you just don't like that pressure, this one, keep in mind, it's there. So at about the hour mark is when you may start to notice that this has been kind of pressing on your head. And that has to do with, one, the weight, but two, the amount of flex that you get, which is a good amount of flex, but by default, it just kind of has like a tighter clamp on it. Shifting over now to the things that I don't like. I only have one here. To me, it's one of the big ones, though. It's the software is just really lacking, especially when you're looking at other headsets that are out on the market. The fact that the limitations are here, but it doesn't seem to save to the headset either. So yes, you can use this with multiple devices, and I think that's a huge upside to this. But really, the adjustments are only given to you on PC, or if that device has some options that allow you to adjust the audio, like for instance the PlayStation 5 with the 3D audio. If it doesn't have that, as far as I can tell, it doesn't keep or retain any of the adjustments that you do in the software on PC. Once you then transfer over to another device, it just kind of goes back to the EKSA standard mode from what I can tell. Now, I may be wrong on that. There may be a way to do it. I just haven't found that or figured that out. And if there was a way, it is something that should be pretty well advertised on the website, in the software, and then in the user manual. Again, I have not found that there. Now, the good news here is this is software. This is something that they can fix. This is something that they can update. This is something that they can change. And I hope that they do. So fingers crossed over the coming months, because this is a newer product, we do see updates to the software where it allows you more features, more customization that this just right now really doesn't have. And to give two examples of that, because I know people may ask, like, well, what are you talking about? What is missing here? The first one is one I've already talked about, which is the ability to save anything you've adjusted to the actual headset. So you have a profile you've saved this to, so when you transfer it over to a different device, you do have that preset built into it. So any adjustments on PC, you get to keep to that other device. That would be one. The other one would be being able to adjust the positions of the 7.1 surround sound, essentially speakers that you would have, so that you could tailor those positions to your liking. This is really good for FPS gamers where they want certain sounds at certain distances or positions to better suit their play style or what they want in that game. So just those two examples right there. There are other things, but those would be two big ones I think right off the bat would greatly improve the software. And I'll actually throw in a bonus one here too, because you can't adjust the microphone outside of ENC. You can't actually make any adjustments to the microphone, so the ability to do that would also be nice. Last, we have the gray area, which are things you may or may not care about, and I actually already covered this, which is the fit here, along with the weight. In terms of weight, it kind of is middle of the pack for all the wireless headsets that I've reviewed. It's not the heaviest, it's not the lightest, they're just kind of right there in the middle of the pack. And then in terms of how it fits, same thing. It's not the tightest, it's not like the loosest, it's kind of in the middle. If you are prone, like I mentioned earlier, to not liking headsets in terms of the pressure that they put on your head, this will kind of do that. About the hour mark is when I start to notice, like, hey, there's been a squeeze on my head for some time and I may need a break at that point, but I am more sensitive to feeling that. So if you're not sensitive to that at all, this won't be an issue for you. If you are, do consider that before you purchase this. So that is actually going to wrap this video up. I think EKSA has a really good headset on their hands here in terms of what they're delivering with the audio quality and the performance and the aesthetics, the good connection, the compatibility. Where they need some improvement, and I hope we do get it, is really on the software side. Using the microphone for this entire review here, hopefully you do get a good idea of what the audio quality from the microphone is going to be, and I think that is really good as well. So if you have any questions about this, let me know in the comment section. I will make sure to answer that for you there. We have Black Friday coming up. We have the holiday season. I suspect that we will see some good sales, some good deals on this as we approach that. So although I do think this earns the $99 price tag that you will find on Amazon, I think if you wait a little while, you may get an even better deal on this. So the $99, the $100 feels earned for this. You get it at $80 or below, I think you're going to get yourself a really good deal on the EKSA E900X here. So that's it for this one. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I will make sure to answer that for you there. If you like the video, hit the like button for me, as it helps the channel out. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.